What's up, wrestling fans? It is October 26th, and that means it is time for Hell in a Cell. And if you've been keeping up with anybody's kayfabe news, then you know that Hell, via the Vatican, literally is in a cell. I don't know if anybody's heard about that, but we have Hell in a Cell pay-per-view tonight on the WWE Network and choice pay-per-view providers. Only a few pay-per-view outlets are still picking up pay-per-views, not many, but of course that means we have a show tonight with two big main events, and we have possible two dirty finishes for these main events that we're going to talk about here tonight. We're going to talk about every championship match that's going to be held tonight because that's mainly what we got for the card. This is basically Night of Champions 2 with a couple of cell matches. It should be a good show. I'm actually excited for the show. So we're gonna start it off, guys. How y'all doing? It's Sunday. There's football on. We've been talking Steelers before we went live, and the Buffalo Bills players, mainly the Clemson players. You know, good stuff on the Clemson front as far as offensive players in the NFL. But how's your Sunday, boys?
Don't ask me about football, man. I'm losing money. This is
could have been better.
Yeah.
Why
couldn't I pick Gronk? You got like a million touchdowns. Him and Tom Brady are on acid. I want a urine test. That's not cool. I'm losing money because of the Patriots and Ben Roethlisberger. All these guys getting so many touchdowns. I couldn't pick one of them.
Hey, Ben Roethlisberger is doing excellent today in those ugly, ugly uniforms.
Yeah, Ben Hamburger, Ben. What is with those uniforms anyway? Do they wear those a lot or what?
No, it's random whenever we, as the Steelers, wear those uniforms. I don't like them. I think they're hideous. I like when we actually used to rock the old school throwbacks, but anyway, as far as that goes, the NFL is having a good day, especially the Clemson players that are still active. C.J. Spiller is out for the rest of the season probably, which is a good. He broke his collarbone last week. But, man, it's a good Sunday. Beautiful day outside here in the South. And, of course, we have a pay-per-view tonight that is going to give us good wrestling action. We should have good matches all the way around, except for maybe this one. And we're going to just we're going to start going down the card. And let's hear what you guys think about these matches. Let's see who you've picked to win these matches and run through this as we normally do here on Wrestling Warm-Up. Guys, let's just talk about the first match that we have on our card because it's probably the least excitable match that's on the card, and that's the Bella match. Of course, gotta love starting a conversation on a pay-per-view about talking about the Bellas and these guys actually caring about this match. No one actually does. What do you guys think? Who do you think is gonna win and become the winner's bitch for a month? Go ahead and start, B-Song. Tell me who you think is going to win this match.
It's definitely going to be Nikki Bella, just because of the fact they're going to Team Nikki versus Team Brie at Survivor Series, which will most likely happen. They're going to go do that. And if they're going to have someone quit, possibly if they don't fulfill their duties after 30 days, it's going to be Brie. They're going to try and either force her to quit at Survivor Series if her team can't win, and that's about it.
About you, Walter?
No, exactly what Alex said. I mean, the Survivor Series reports about Team Brie versus Team Nikki kind of gives away that Nikki Bella is going to win this match. And then the next month or so until the pay-per-view, you're going to see video packages of Brie having to do humiliating things, like maybe scrub John Cena's floor or something along those lines.
Yes.
I'm kind of... What? What?
Scrubbing John Cena's floor? Is that what you...
Yeah.
Is that a derogatory term in Canada, or...
What? Scrubbing... What? You thought that was some sort of dirty term?
Is that sexual innuendo in Canada?
What? No. Whoa. What do you guys do in the South, man? That's not cool. I meant literally scrubbing floors. Mr. Clean, Windex, all the good stuff, buddy. But, yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that this feud is continuing. I thought when Brie Bella beat Nikki Bella on Raw in that tag team match, I was like, it's over. We don't have to deal with these two anymore. The sisters are done. They're going to go their separate ways. But no, we have to get this stupid match. Nikki Bella, she's going to go over, I guess.
And I've said this from day one, man. We're going to get a Survivor Series match from all the divas. I mean, it's going to be a massive divas match, maybe 7-on-7. It's something that we saw last year at Survivor Series. And the Total Divas cast will be a part of this thing with these two girls. And now that we know that Paige and Alicia Fox are joining the cast, I mean, you're probably I don't know who you're going to have in a Divas Championship match with AJ Lee or Paige, whoever wins the title. Who knows what's going to happen tonight in that match? But as far as the Survivor Series match goes, you're going to have Team Nikki versus Team Brie, period. I've said that for weeks. That's what we're going to see, and this feud's going to carry over until we get there. And as far as no one's really looking forward to that. All of us said Nikki except for Frank Manzo and Will Benson, and I know Frank was on the viewpoint of, they're going to show Brie being more of a vindictive sister if Nikki loses the match and has to be a personal assistant to Brie for a while, because if Brie forces Nikki to quit, because if they don't perform the duties that they're being asked to perform, then they have to quit. Which to me, why wouldn't they just make them? Why wouldn't they just fire them? Why isn't it if they don't perform the duties that the winner makes them do? Why is the company not just firing them? Why do they have to quit? It makes zero sense.
It's WWE.
I don't want to do that, so I quit. It should be, I don't want to do that, so you're fired. I don't understand why this whole quit thing is in existence, but I think it's too, and I think this is Frank's mentality. Brie Bella has already quit on WWE television once, and it would be nice if they're going to do more matches with each other to have the other one quit as well. But for me, I think if there's anybody in this match that's going to lose to get to another match, possibly a Survivor Series match, it has to be Nikki. Or to win, it has to be Nikki. I think Brie Bella has to be the losing party here, and have to be Nikki's personal assistant for a while. That they've been trying to build her as a strong heel diva, and of course she got the win on Brie the other night. So we'll see what happens there.
There is a reason though that Will Benson is in last place, so let's not.
Yes, there is. But Frank Manzo's in first place, and he picked the same thing that Will did. So.
Yeah, but Manzo just wants to continue that hot streak he's on right now. I think he's like 3 picks ahead of me and Alba, so he just wants that one match at Hell in a Cell that me and Alba don't pick, and that just pushes him even further ahead. He's gonna be wrong this time.
I'm hoping to pick up some spots, so especially one spot right there on Frank. I think that's going to be Nikki Bella with the win.
Frank can't win this, boys. He can't.
And I want to know from you guys here on, of course, on Twitter or in the chat room that are tuning in. Get in the chat on WrestlingRumors.net. The first thing that pops up in our featured slider, the big image, is this show. Click in there. Get in the chat room. B-Song's in there moderating. If you guys are in there, send us some questions. Let us know what you think about the card for Hell in a Cell, and of course we will give you some shouts and talk about what you've asked us, and we'll talk about your predictions as well as we're getting ready for this what should be a very good pay-per-view tonight. What we've learned over the past few months is if WWE gives you bad TV, we get an excellent pay-per-view, and the first 3 weeks of build for Hell in a Cell was bad, and then the last 2 weeks have been pretty good. No useless segments the last 2 Monday Night Raws. Everything was had a purpose, and there weren't Adam Rose segments and no bunnies and no midgets, and it was good. Everything meant something. Everything built towards a pay-per-view, which was the first time in forever that they've actually done that. But it was too little, too late, because the viewership each week keeps going down, and I'm afraid that there's not going to be a lot of eyes on this pay-per-view tonight, and it's going to be an amazing show. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to go on to the next match, which is a United States Championship match, Sheamus versus The Miz. And with Mizdow TV, with special guest The Miz, going on in the kickoff show tonight, I'm actually excited for that. I think it's going to be really entertaining. These guys, I want to know your thoughts on these guys, because Mizdow to me and Miz, it's like they found each other right at the right time in their careers, and they got forced to do this thing that probably didn't work on paper, but because of how good Damian Sandow is, this thing has just turned out to be a great team. These guys should go on to be a tag team to fight for the tag team champions, and then have their split, in my opinion. But what are your guys' thoughts on Damian Mizdow and the Miz here?
I mean, it's one of the best things they have going on. Just Mizdow alone, week in and week out, he's one of the best parts of WWE programming. And like you said, Doug, they should get a chance to go after these tag team titles, but the problem we have now is the Usos are out of challengers because they don't have the belt anymore. We have it on a heel tag team now, but I mean, as long as Mizdow can keep like this momentum going, he's going to be big and he's going to get up to where he should have been before.
Yeah, this was like the one match on the card that I really had a hard time dealing with, like making my like concrete pick, just because they are going to do their segment on the pre-show that might maybe tease that Miz is going to win the title.
Right.
I thought it would have been hilarious if Miz just replaced himself in this match with Mizdow, and then Mizdow wins the United States Championship
Right.
and have like an argument over who's the real champion because
Right.
he's a stunt double, but it was really for the Miz or whatnot. The only thing that kind of turned me off of that was these reports that Rusev is going to be next in line to become the United States champion, and if that's the case, then they're going to do a Rusev versus Sheamus feud, possibly heading into Survivor Series, and I think that makes more sense. We just saw Miz go back and forth with the Intercontinental title.
Right.
Doing the same with the United States Championship at this time wouldn't make a lot of sense. I could see them being a tag team. Right now, I just think Sheamus wins, and then you just keep Miz and Sandow together because right now there's really no need to split them up. It's just too good.
Right, and I totally agree with everything you just said, and I'm on that fence. I'm right there with you. I kind of waffle back and forth. What could they do? But I put the same factors on the table and thought the same thing that you did. They just did this flip-flop with the IC title. Rusev needs to go after the U.S. title and hold gold that matters and is at least has something to do with the United States of America, which I think will be obviously his next step. So I'm looking for Sheamus to retain the title tonight as well. But it will be interesting. I think they're going to keep teasing dissension between Mizdow and Miz, even though they're going to keep them together. But I think we're going to see some Mizdow-Miz interaction tonight that may not be super friendly. I think that they're going to keep teasing dissension super hard between the two. Maybe actually give Miz a chance to give Mizdow some dirty looks because he's getting the pops and all that kind of stuff. I know Ed on Twitter is asking, what does Sandow have to do to get a credible push? Bro, he's getting pushed to the moon right now. Just because it's a comedic role does not mean that he's not getting a push right now. The guy is so over, and he's just getting more over every single week with everyone, including people that used to write for the company like Vince Russo, on his jock every single Monday night because he's so good and he's so entertaining, and everybody's known this for the past year and a half, 2 years. And again, something could have happened backstage where he just everything fell apart. We know he was supposed to get the World Heavyweight Championship, and then the plans for that changed. I think maybe they just needed to find something for him to get in a groove with, and now he has, and it's going to lead to a split between him and Miz, and that's going to make him even more over, and he's going to be a face. It's going to be very, very good at the outcome of this thing. And I do expect to see Mizdow do a lot of stuff tonight. I think Triple H and all the powers to be realize how over he's getting, and at some point here soon we're going to see a dissension between the two, and Mizdow's going to go face.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. And I mentioned this on Wrestling Warm-Up on Monday. The one thing that worries me with Sandow is, if they do this split with Miz, this is the most over he's been in a long, long time. Maybe even more so when he was doing like his, sophisticated, whatever you wanted to call that gimmick with the Rhodes Scholars.
It was the genius. It was the genius gimmick.
Yeah, okay, the genius then. But once Sandow splits with Miz, then they do their inevitable match, and then Sandow goes over. What do you do with Sandow at that point? And that just took me back to what we saw in the past with Alex Riley. He was getting over, he turned on the Miz, but then after that they really had nothing to do with him. So that's why I want to see Sandow and Miz stick together for as long as possible, because I'm worried about what might become of Damian once they do go their separate ways.
I will say this, Damian Sandow is 90,000 more times entertaining than Alex Riley. So I'm not really worried about that.
But then why didn't they do anything with him before?
They were going to give him the world title. I mean, that was going to happen, and then they merged the titles. He was going to get a credible push. He was going to hold the second-tier title of the company. And at this point, I think you have him go over Miz somewhere down the line, maybe after Royal Rumble, and then maybe he gets an IC title shot. And he's going to be over whenever he finally turns and starts, back with "You're welcome" and I'm greater than you. The guy is completely entertaining in anything that he touches, and he's going to get over. He's going to have a really good mid-card run. And who knows? Who knows? The sky could be the limit for the guy once he finally breaks away from this thing and stops being a copycat, because he's super entertaining. He's got so much charisma, it's ridiculous. The only person, or actually two people, picked The Miz over Sheamus, and that was Will Benson, again, our webmaster that makes WrestlingRumors.net look so pretty.
Last place!
And, of course, the Joe Omega from Wrestle Reaction picked The Miz via pinfall. So we'll see what happens there. Miz versus Sheamus tonight for the U.S. Championship. Again, we all believe here, at least on this panel, that Sheamus will be victorious and go on possibly a feud with Rusev for the next couple of months with this title. So that's where we are there. Moving on to our Divas Championship match for tonight, we have AJ Lee versus Paige. And I'm the only person that picked Paige to win tonight. I don't see who, and this is the. I'll tell you why I picked Paige. I just don't see who could be next in line to face AJ Lee for the title.
What if they put them in the Team Brie versus Team Nikki? I doubt it would happen, but they could very well do that.
I don't know. I don't see that happening, Alex, mainly because AJ Lee is not part of Total Divas.
True, but they're at a.
I can't see it. I can't see it. They're at this point. Exactly what you go on and say what you were about to say. They're at what?
Well, I was just gonna say they did just. Who did they add? They added Paige and Alicia Fox to the Total Divas cast. If they do like a 10 or 12 like Divas thing, they're not gonna have enough like actual Total Divas to just fill that match as it is. You might have to put AJ Lee in there if you're gonna put Paige in there.
Well, think about the Total Divas cast. You've got Natalya, Eva, Marie, Rosa Mendez, Natty, the Funkadactyls. Who else? Paige, Alicia Fox.
Rosa, did you say her yet?
I said Rosa. That's 9 or 8. You could do 4-on-4 at least with the Total Divas, and then you got Nikki and Brie, which would be 5-on-5. That's a traditional Survivor Series match. They could do that and then have Paige and I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. The thing is, unless they bring Charlotte up, which it's not time for, because Charlotte is going to likely lose her title in December at TakeOver, and then move up because they need another credible, challenger for the Divas Championship. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. We do know Stephanie McMahon has said that the Divas on Total Divas can't win the title thing is bull. And I think that they're doing that because of the reports that hit the web, because Cameron has been complaining about this rule that's been in place where the Total Divas cast members can't win the Divas Championship. I think they've finally gone back on that rule and are now saying that they can. So maybe we do see a Total Diva win the Divas Championship next, just because they want to squash this rumor that this rule was ever in place. But I would be surprised if like Natalya or somebody else won the championship next. So I put Paige because I think that the Paige AJ Lee thing has worked very well and can continue to work for the next couple months. I don't know who else would be able to face AJ at this time. But everybody else picked AJ, so tell me why you picked AJ.
I mean, I just simply think Paige isn't going to get the title again. I think they somehow have to take this feud, either intertwine it with the Bella Twins or just find some new either foe for AJ Lee to face or give her a partner to kind of go up against like Paige and Alicia Fox.
Yeah, they're just grasping at straws at this point with AJ and Paige. There's really nothing else they could do at this point. I think they should just kind of put a kibosh on it for a little bit. See if there's someone else you can throw into the mix. But you're right, though. Who else do you put in that position unless you, of course, you bring up somebody from NXT or you just kind of throw a surprise Total Diva, like maybe Alicia Fox versus AJ, maybe Natalya. Who knows? But then, they might be in the Brie versus Nikki storyline. So it's very confused. I just picked AJ because I'm just kind of over the feud that she's had with Paige. It's been a great run. I mean, they've had great matches, but I mean, how many more shows can you really do with the two?
I don't know. To me, they're the only two that seem like main event caliber divas, and so I just don't see it ending at this time. But everybody else picked AJ Lee. I'm the odd man out on this one. I picked Paige. I just think that there's still more story to be told in this feud. Moving on, we have Rusev versus Big Show. John Alba picked Big Show to win via disqualification. And that's the only person that picked Big Show to actually get away with a victory here, whether it's a clean pin or disqualification. Everybody else picked Rusev either by pinfall or disqualification. Why do you guys think that John Alba probably picked Big Show via disqualification?
It probably thinks Mark Henry's going to get involved and cost Big Show and then do kind of like a heel turn thing. But I think most of us probably believe that Henry's going to get involved in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to cost Big Show, but it's just going to result in Rusev winning. I don't think there's going to be a shady finish, or like a disqualification or a count out. I just think Rusev wins and then he goes on to the United States Championship. And then we get, for the millionth time, the equivalent of Orton and Cena, we get Mark Henry versus Big Show.
The only way it could be DQ, I think they'd give the win to Rusev if it would be DQ, because they'd have Mark Henry just come out, attack Rusev. There you either have Big Show actually be the one to turn heel and get mad at Henry, or you can actually parlay this into a handicap match if they don't want Rusev to feud with Sheamus.
Right. Here's my thing. That's exactly what I picked. I'm the only person that picked via DQ. I mean, our finishes really don't matter at this point. We just pick winners or losers. But I picked Rusev via disqualification because I do believe Mark Henry gets involved and attacks Rusev. And then we see Big Show and Mark Henry go at it. And I don't even know if one of them takes a full-fledged heel turn tonight. Maybe it's later on. But now that there's more reports about the main events and what could take place in the main events, and the fact that both Hell in a Cell matches might have dirty finishes, I don't know if they're going to do a disqualification here. So I'm interested, but my initial gut feeling said Mark Henry gets involved. Big Show made a big deal about him not getting involved in the match. I solely believe Mark Henry comes out here, attacks Rusev, and Rusev gets the win via disqualification. Because even though he has lost on occasion via countout or via disqualification, I don't think they want to see him lose again on pay-per-view at this point. So for me, it's Rusev winning via disqualification. Everybody else picks Rusev via pinfall, which is interesting because the man hasn't won via pinfall. The man wins via submission every match.
First time for everything.
So in what way do you guys think that he gets a pinfall victory? You think that Mark Henry comes in and attacks Big Show with the ref turned or something, and then Rusev covers him?
Yeah, I just think Big Show, I mean, he had him in the Accolade before. He didn't tap out or anything, but I think at this point, Big Show, you can't have people keep getting into that submission move and then passing out. You need someone to tap out, but I don't think Big Show's going to tap. So I just thought a pinfall was more logical.
Yeah,
Alex, you had via pinfall.
Yeah, I see it the same way. I just don't think they're going to have Big Show tap out again. But one thing that Ed brought up in the chat room, beg my pardon, he said that John may be on to something with the Big Show via DQ because you could have Rusev actually put the Accolade on him, refuse to actually let go of the hold and have it end in DQ there. But I just think if Rusev's going to win, it's going to be by pinfall. They're not going to have Big Show or anybody tap out to him again, and they're just going to have to give him a pinfall victory for once.
Well, let me talk to Ed for a second. How's Rusev going to have the move on and not let go to get DQ'd? Big Show's in the ropes? That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah,
tell me, Ed, in the chat room. Tell me what you're talking about. You're saying that you feel like if he's holding him in the Accolade and he gets the 5 count in the ropes, that ain't happening. Big Show's got a foot on the rope. I don't think that's going down. If anything, yes, we've seen people passed out. If anything, if it's going to be that way, if he's going to get the Accolade on him and he passes out, it's going to be because Mark Henry attacked Big Show. Which, I don't know. I just don't see it happening that way. But it could. It very well could. Tag team-wise, we have the titles on the line. And Frank Manzo is the only person to pick the Usos to regain the WWE Tag Team Championship tonight. And I've honestly, before we started this show tonight, I thought about changing my pick to the Usos. He picked the Usos via DQ, which means that the titles wouldn't change hands in the first place. But, Walter, you brought up a very interesting thought, and that's we have no other competitors, babyface-wise, for the tag team title. It is literally the Usos and Stardust and Goldust. The other tag teams that are in the tag team division right now are wastes. The Los Wastes and Slater Gator are just comedy teams. We have no other credible teams. Stardust, Goldust, and the Usos. Now, unless we see Rybaxel, which we know is supposed to return very, very soon, if Rybaxel comes back as a tag team and gets a pop, that could make them faces. I don't know, but the thing is that Usos and Stardust and Goldust have been facing each other in either 6-man tags or regular tags for 2 months now. How much more can we see Usos and the Dust go? I don't see that happening. But at the same time, there are no other credible face tag teams to face this heel team of the Dusts. So what the heck are they going to do?
Unless you finally pull the trigger on that 3-man faction, Xavier Woods, Big E,
Right.
Kofi Kingston, I think they would be great challengers for the Dusts. But that would just be filler at this point because they would just need a face team.
And then where do the Usos go? The Usos are extremely over as a babyface tag team.
Right.
They are.
Then you start doing three-way matches, or you do a ladder match at TLC. Like, I mean, or you just start bringing up the tag teams from NXT. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, the tag team division in NXT is stacked. And if there was ever a time that the WWE main roster division needed some fresh blood, like, first of all, it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, in theory, it would be good. But think about a team like Enzo Amore and Big Cass. Like, now would be a great time to bring them up because they're super over with fans, and then you would have a credible face team. But, again, this is WWE logic. They seem to like going with the same 2 or 3 teams all the time. This match doesn't interest me at all. I don't care if the Usos were the tag team champions or not. It's just because these teams, like you said, they've been used as fodder in 6-man tag team matches for the last month, and they've both been pinned by more credible guys, you know, like by Ambrose or Cesaro or Sheamus or what have you. It's like, who cares? This is really what's become of the division. It's pathetic.
Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a great match.
Yeah, but who
The match
cares?
will be great, but it's one of those things now where
cares?
it's who else? It's the same issue with the Divas title. Who else do you put up against the champions right now to be a credible opponent? There's nobody. There's absolutely nobody. So everybody but Frank picked the Dusts to win this match via pinfall in a clean retain. You know, they're going to retain their titles clean. There's not going to be anything dirty. There's not going to be a disqualification or anything like that. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going to happen here, but you know, got to have some clean matches if all these other ones are going to finish dirty, right?
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say the Dusts go over clean, but that's the question, and let's talk about this for a second. You brought up Enzo Amore and Big Cass, who are I really think that their gimmick that they use in NXT is one of the best ones that they have. There's a lot of crappy gimmicks in NXT right now, and they're going to repackage some of these guys before they bring them up to the main roster. But I think that Enzo and Big Cass are going to be just fine the way they are. And the music's good, their character's good. I had one of my buddies who has not watched NXT at all because he doesn't have the network. He and I watched the network on Friday night. I made him watch the latest takeover, the Fatal 4-Way, so he could get a taste of what the NXT is all about. And he freaking loved those guys. He was freaking out about them and loved every minute of it. I really think they're going to be a success on the main roster, and it would be a good time to bring them up right now. We don't have any other tag teams. If Rybaxel comes back, sure, we got Rybaxel, and make them face, make them sarcastic like they have been, but make them a face team and have them go against the Dusts. I don't know who else you use. And at that point, who do you have the Usos go against? We know at some point that the Ascension's going to make their debut very, very soon. The Ascension's probably going to make all these NXT guys that we know are going to make their way up. Adrian Neville, the Ascension, Charlotte. These people are going to make their rise to the main roster following the next takeover event, which is in December, December 11th or December 12th.
Yeah, it's 11th, yeah.
So you're going to have those guys move up, probably debut at the Rumble, if not a little bit before, and those are going to be really good additions to the roster. But again, the Ascension is a heel tag team, so you got to get the tag team straps back on the Usos if you don't have another face tag team at this point. And then have the Ascension feud with the Usos like they teased so long ago. And that will be a good feud. That'll be a good program. But until we get closer to that, until we get to December, I think the Dust stay the champions, and we see the Dust go over because there's nobody else. There's nobody else. And what other tag teams in NXT could they bring up that are baby faces? There's not. There's not any. It's just Enzo and Big Cass.
That's it. The Lucha Dragons.
You brought that. Well, the Lucha Dragons will be marketable tag team competitors when they come up. They will be faces. They will be marketable face tag team competitors when they come up. But they just won the tag team championships in NXT in September, and they're not going to be coming up anytime soon. So
that doesn't mean anything. You could be a champion and still on the main roster.
I know they've done it before, but
and it's easy to bring up Sin Cara because he's already been on the roster. You know what I mean? Like it's just a matter of integrating Kalisto.
That'd be a good way to have someone challenge the Dust. I mean, you have those two in their face paint. Those two are high flyers. I mean, wouldn't be too bad.
It would be good matches. The Lucha Dragons put on really good matches. Kalisto, very Rey Mysterio and Ultimo Dragon like the fact that he combines those two styles. And of course, Unico as Sin Cara is the best Sin Cara we've ever seen. He was when he was filling in for Mystico at the time, and of course WWE is trying to acknowledge or trying to rewrite history and say that Unico has been Sin Cara all along. If you've kept up with any reports this past week, WWE has been telling people to come meet the original Sin Cara at press conferences and autograph signings and stuff. And of course, the original Sin Cara is working in Lucha Underground right now. So WWE's doing what they do best, and they're rewriting history at that point. But again, another issue that we have, finding new credible tag teams that can work together and actually make a difference. But I just don't know how this is going to play out as far as the current tag teams that we have. Moving on to another championship that we're going to be seeing defended tonight by Mr. Dolph Ziggler, the Intercontinental Championship. He's going to be facing the Swiss Superman, King of Swing himself, Cesaro. We very well may see the swing tonight. We know that Ziggler loves overselling everything, and if you can get Cesaro to put Ziggler in the swing, and we know that's going to be a big selling point for WWE 2K15, which comes out Tuesday for the Xbox 360 and PS3, and of course it comes out in 3 weeks for the current gen systems, Xbox One and PS4. The swing apparently is a move that you can capture someone in, and you just keep rotating the joystick as long as you possibly can until your stamina runs out. You can get as many swings in as possible. But I think Cesaro is going to pull that out tonight. We haven't seen that in a while. And I myself and a couple of other people think Cesaro is walking away tonight with the IC Championship. Will Benson, John Alba, and Frank Manzo believe that Cesaro is going to win the Intercontinental Championship tonight. And boys, you don't. You think that Dolph Ziggler retains. Tell me why.
Simply no storyline to the whole thing. I mean, what I would like to see happen here, they're gonna get a lot of time. They're getting a 2 out of 3 falls match. Have them steal the show, put on one of the best matches on the entire card, so they actually have these two on the microphone sometimes. Put some importance on your basically only title with Brock Lesnar. You're only like your best, most prestigious title on the card. You need to showcase that more, and they haven't been. So I don't think, with very little storyline, I don't think they're just going to give the belt to Cesaro here. I think they're going to try and prolong it here with Ziggler winning somehow, get them to Survivor Series, and actually give them some time, like, in the spotlight.
The reason Cesaro's with Dolph Ziggler is because they can both work, and they can both work very well. And there's a reason why this is 2 out of 3 falls, because this is what fans want. They want to see Ziggler and Cesaro just tear into each other for like 20 minutes. And they've had matches before on television here and there, but they've been very short and they've been very brief. And I think in this contest, which is probably going to open the show, they're going to tear the house down. It's easily the best non-Hell in a Cell match booked for this card, and there's no reason to put the belt on Cesaro. If you look at his last 12 title matches, he's 0-12. He's challenged for literally everything at this point, and he can't win a belt because WWE just likes using him as their workhorse. You can put him with anybody, and you can have an above-average match. And this is a prime example of that. Ziggler's going to win 2 falls to 1, and that's that. Like B-Song said, there's no story to this. Why would it make sense for Cesaro to become champion?
Here's why I believe it makes sense. And I agree to you. I agree completely. He has, the last 12 times he's gone up for a championship, he's lost, and that's why I feel like he's due. We've had reports for over a year about the fact that WWE loves to push, has this thought in the back of their head. At some point, they're going to push Cesaro. they're going to push Cesaro, and they kept putting it off, and they basically sold him to a meat factory to make food for wolves. They basically fed him to the wolves, putting him with Paul Heyman and not letting him speak, and taking away the big swing, and all these different things that they did killed his momentum instead of pushing him. And I think that this may be the way that they go about bringing Cesaro back into some kind of actual prestigious storyline. And we saw him lose to Sheamus a couple of times for the United States Championship, and now he's in this feud program that just started with Ziggler. And to me, the best way to extend this storyline, to give it something more, is to do best two out of three, and have a clinic go on, which we know is going to happen. And have Cesaro come out on top. And then, Ziggler has a rematch clause for Survivor Series. And at that point, we see him over the next few, you can have Cesaro come out tomorrow night on Raw with the IC strap, with a microphone, and gets to start doing a more creative storyline pushing forward to their rematch. And I can honestly see a three pay-per-view program with these guys, where you can actually take us all the way to January with Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler starting tonight. We get a title switch. We know that Ziggler, we love WWE. We know that WWE loves to switch the title off of Ziggler onto somebody else and then back on to Ziggler. We've seen it twice now. It's one of those things where I really believe that Cesaro could win tonight and move on starting tomorrow in a program with Dolph Ziggler that actually means something, and take us to Survivor Series, and then take us all the way to TLC, where we may actually see the title on the line in a TLC match between these two. Because if there's someone that could work a ladder match and make a ladder match mean something huge and make it look so great, it would be Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. And that's where those are my 2 cents. That's why my thinking is tonight Cesaro actually gets one.
I disagree, because when you book a 2 out of 3 falls match, that's like so definitive. Like, who the better man is after that. And with Dolph Ziggler, if he gets his rematch, if Cesaro becomes champion, yeah, that's true. But I feel like the more logical scenario is that they're both a part of separate Survivor Series teams. I don't think they're going to do Ziggler versus Cesaro again at Survivor Series, especially once you did 2 out of 3 falls. You're not going to add a special stipulation until, at the very least, TLC. So I would just end it there and just have them go and do
Cesaro. Look at Cesaro, Sami Zayn. They did a match after their best 2 out of 3 match.
Yeah, but that was the first. Yeah, but that was the first match on the first live event on the WWE Network. That was a big deal. They wanted them to tear the house down, and they did. It had nothing to do with trying to build any credible storyline or whatever. That was already built anyway. So I'm not looking too much into a feud that, like, again, what Alex said, there's zero story to this.
I think it could start.
I think we could see a feud that lasts to like TLC, because they could easily have Cesaro win the first pinfall, Ziggler come back to win 2, maybe kind of cheats a little bit to win the last one. That way you can say Cesaro can say, I pinned you first. They could actually prolong the storyline that way and actually maybe have a title switch come Survivor Series or TLC.
And we know they've done this before, where Cesaro has had a foot on the rope or something, and the ref doesn't see it, and they count 3, and maybe that's how they do the last pinfall. Someone's in the rope, and they don't see it. Maybe Ziggler gets a foot under the rope instead this time, and that's what happens, and they argue about the fact that he had a foot on the rope, and he really didn't get beat, and then we go to the next match. I definitely see a longer program, because at this point, who do you put in as the next challenger for the IC title? I know that there's more mid-card guys than tag team competitors or divas. There's a lot of mid-carders right now. But who do you see going for the IC title next? It can't go back to being The Miz again. So I don't know. I kind of see this. I could see this go on a little bit longer. Something that we have yet to talk about is the fact that Brock Lesnar's not going to be on this show. Brock Lesnar's not going to be on Survivor Series unless they need him to be. And he's not going to be on TLC. He's just going to be appearing on the December 8th Raw here in Greenville, South Carolina. And that's it. And then we'll see him build towards a match with someone, maybe John Cena, at Royal Rumble. And that takes us to our first of 2 main events for tonight. John Cena versus Randy Orton for the 19,000th time, and of course it's in the cell, and it's supposed to end this feud for good. I think consciously they're not going to book John Cena versus Randy Orton ever again after this. I think they know that the fans are over it. I think they know that they've worn out their welcome, and this is supposed to be the last time these two guys meet in a ring together in a singles match. So if that's the case, and the winner gets a future shot at Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, there's a lot on the line. We saw Rollins curb stomp Randy Orton on Monday night and stand on top of the cell. So there's obviously going to be a program between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton here soon. Guys, there are numerous reports that there's going to be a dirty finish in this match that may get us to, Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. I don't know. I picked John Cena simply off the fact that we know John Cena versus Brock Lesnar 3 is supposed to happen at some point. Of course, everyone's calling for that to be Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar's next title defense that's currently on the books is at Royal Rumble. Everybody but Chris Walter picked John Cena to win tonight. And Walter, tell me why you think Randy Orton's going away with this one.
I just think it's a perfect situation for Orton to win because regardless if you do the title match at Survivor Series, which would be more than perfect because it's in St. Louis, and if you want to build up Randy Orton as one of your top faces again, you have him compete for the title in his hometown against Brock Lesnar. The crowd will be so into him. I think that's a perfect spot. If not, then you have him challenge Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. By that time, he'll probably be a full-fledged face as he separates himself from the Authority. I think Seth Rollins gets involved in this match somehow, whether it's on behalf of Orton or not. Maybe the Authority tells him that he has to attack Cena or whatnot. We're talking about all these shady finishes, but it's going to be really difficult to pull off, especially with the cell in play. You don't really see shady finishes like that. The last one that I could really think of, Paul Bearer was there ringside anyway with Undertaker, Kane, and then Edge came in. He was a cameraman, and he attacked Undertaker, Batista in their Survivor Series one.
Right.
So they'd have to basically be in the cell at that point, otherwise it wouldn't make a lick of sense. So I think at this point, I think fans are kind of also over Cena versus Lesnar. I don't think they really care if they see a third one. And if you have Lesnar working limited dates in the first place, I don't think you want to waste 3 straight of them against the same guy. I think you want to get as many different matchups as possible. Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar doesn't have to be a long feud because obviously if you do it at Rumble, they're going to go and do different things at WrestleMania. So I think you just have a one-off at the Royal Rumble, and then if you haven't done Rollins versus Orton at that point, I think you could have that on the road to WrestleMania.
Well, I'll say this, man. I would much rather see Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar instead of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar again, but they left that thing so wide open. And John Cena is still talking trash to Brock Lesnar. And he didn't lose the last match. I mean, it's one of those things where there's got to be a rubber. It's John Cena. There's got to be a rubber match with Brock Lesnar. Yep. I don't want to see a rubber match with Brock Lesnar, but we're going to see a rubber match with Brock Lesnar. It's John Cena.
Do you think Orton RKOing Heyman means anything in terms of them booking that?
I'll say this because I thought that was a brilliant move by WWE Creative. They haven't done a lot of brilliant things in the last 4 months, but I think that was a brilliant move. And I think more than anything, it was probably Triple H that put that together because Triple H reads the internet. He has his finger on the pulse of what the IWC is talking about all the time. If you don't know what IWC means, you probably aren't a part of it, or you probably just don't even know. That's the internet wrestling community. Triple H is all about reading Reddit, all about going to sites like ours, and all about reading tweets. And you hashtag it with Raw or you hashtag it with something, Triple H is reading them. And I think the cool thing about that was, and I thought this as soon as it happened, was I wonder if they're doing that to plant the seed that Orton might actually win this match. And we may actually see Randy Orton get his title match that he hasn't gotten since WrestleMania, that he still has a match. He still has a rematch clause that he hasn't used. I think that it did enough to plant the seed of doubt in everybody's mind that Randy Orton possibly could beat John Cena and go on to face Brock Lesnar because he RKO'd Brock Lesnar's advisor. And we know that the advocate for Brock Lesnar, if somebody attacks Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar's going to show up at some point and get vindication for it. It just happens. Whether it's a verbal attack or a physical attack, Brock Lesnar's coming in to take care of whoever hurt Paul Heyman. We've seen it happen over and over again. So I thought that was a brilliant move by WWE Creative, because I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that Randy Orton actually wins this match. So, but I thought that was a great way to plant the seed of doubt that maybe Randy Orton does win this match.
I'll give you this. I think, because Orton and Cena have had Hell in a Cell before, and then Orton won that one. Would WWE really give 2 Hell in a Cell victories to Orton against Cena? But that's the thing. I think they're aware that fans are predicting that Cena's going to win just because he hasn't beaten Orton in the Cell. This would be a perfect time to pull the swerve. And also, and we're going to talk about the other Hell in a Cell match, of course, there's no way that 2 heels or 2 faces win these matches. I think it's going to be 1-1. And then depending on who you pick in Ambrose versus Rollins, I think the opposite, whether it's the heel Orton or face Cena, goes over in the end. So it's interesting. And then we had the report come out today about a certain someone, and that might make me change my pick about Ambrose and Rollins.
Right,
too, so
right. So that's where I'm going to go, because I'm probably going to get my Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins pick wrong now, if what we read today is true. But as far as this match goes, if Seth Rollins does somehow get in that cage and take out Randy Orton and John Cena gets the win because of that, I feel like that's more the likely scenario. And like what you said, if there is going to be a heel winning,
it's more likely Rollins.
I think it's going to be Seth Rollins instead of Randy Orton. I really believe that John Cena, especially now that we know what we know, I definitely believe that John Cena is going over in this match. And that's going to be the bottom line. And people are going to be pissed off about it. But at the same time, we know that Brock Lesnar is not Brock Lesnar is supposed to be the champion all the way to WrestleMania. We know that they're getting rid of the Elimination Chamber in February, which means that Brock Lesnar's not going to be working the February show, and he's going to be the champion. I'm sorry, there's no other reason they would get rid of that pay-per-view at this point. There's too many people that have been injured over the last 6 months that they're not going to have this extremely injury-prone match. It's the hardest surface that anyone could wrestle on, period. Every single person that's been in a Hell in a Cell will tell you it's shortened their careers, especially the first one in 2002. It's one of those things where it's extremely hard. The chain is not loose. There's no give. They throw people through the pods every single time, and while it is supposed to break away, sometimes it doesn't, and people get hurt. And with everybody getting hurt and Brock Lesnar not having the championship in the match, and there's no sense in having the #1 contendership be on the line for Elimination Chamber because they want whoever wins at Royal Rumble to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. There's no point in having that pay-per-view, and I think that it's more of a spoiler of John Cena and Brock Lesnar going at it at Royal Rumble, because I do believe that we're going to see Brock Lesnar go over John Cena clean again at Royal Rumble to get us to WrestleMania, and that's how the cookie's going to crumble, especially with what we're going to talk about now before we get into the actual match. But the next Hell in a Cell match is a lot of people, including myself, had Dean Ambrose going over clean. And as I say, a lot of people, every single person at WrestlingRumors.net picked Dean Ambrose to win this match. And it's funny, because now I think every single person that picked Dean Ambrose to win this match would go back and say, I really think Seth Rollins is going to win this match. And that's because John Cena is going to win between Randy Orton and John Cena, and now we know, as we talked about Monday night, we kept talking about the Bray Wyatt and Wyatt family vignettes, how awesome they've been, how they've been the best thing on WWE programming. The Wyatts are coming back, especially Bray Wyatt. What's a better way, what's the easiest way to have someone interfere in a Hell in a Cell match?
Have them come out from under the ring.
Have the lights go out and have them come out from under the daggum ring. When they're showing the video package between the first main event and the second main event, I'm sure they're going to sneak Bray Wyatt down to the ring, let him get under the apron, and he's going to stay there until whatever time he's supposed to come out and ruin the match. Because Bray Wyatt is returning more than likely tonight. He's already been advertised for Hell in a Cell. And this guy is going to be feuding with Mr. Dean Ambrose going forward, which should be an amazing program. Talk about two guys that can work a mic like nobody else, and two guys that are extremely crazy as far as what they do in the ring. Those matches, as we've seen with the Shield versus the Wyatt family, Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt should be an incredible program going forward. I think we're going to see some amazing things from those guys in the next couple of months. But for right now, this has to mean that where we finally get Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins inside of a cell, Dean Ambrose is going to get screwed out of winning again. And then it's going to be, that way, further on after Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose can come back and say, I never got the revenge that I wanted on Seth Rollins, and they can have another one-off match. And this time, finally, Dean Ambrose goes over his arch nemesis that broke up the Shield on June 2nd this past year. So I do believe that now, looking at it, Bray Wyatt gets involved, and Dean Ambrose actually loses this match, as everyone on our site picked Dean Ambrose to win. This is an amazing swerve. On their part to do this. We all thought, who is Bray Wyatt going to go against when he comes back? Is it going to be John Cena again? Is it going to be somebody like Randy Orton? Is it going to be Authority members? Is it going to be so-and-so and so-and-so? And now we have reports that Bray Wyatt's going to be facing Dean Ambrose moving forward. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? Would you change your pick now if you could?
Of course, but I mean, if we don't know if the reports are exactly true, and my thinking before these reports came out was if Seth Rollins does interfere in that Randy Orton-John Cena match, we could very well see that match for the #1 contendership go on last. You could have Ambrose go over Rollins, and then at the end of the night, the Authority come out, they want to make a statement, they get Rollins in the cell himself, and then you have him cost Orton like that. But with these reports out, I would definitely say that Ambrose is losing because of Bray Wyatt, but we just don't know if they're actually true.
Yeah, if I had a choice, I'd probably go back and change it. They could give Ambrose the win tonight and then have the Wyatt family debut tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. That's always a possibility. But then it makes me go back and watch those videos again, and the "It's coming," and then saying that Harper and Rowan are on their own, and if all three of them come out from under the ring and attack Ambrose, that'll just make me go back and watch the videos and be like, what exactly were they alluding to? And at that point, the only thing that would make sense is the Wyatt family are now aligned with the Authority, and that's it. It's coming, some sort of deadly alliance between the two factions. That's the only thing that would make sense.
Keep going. Go ahead.
No, what, do you disagree?
No, I don't think that it's going to be all of them. I just think it's going to be Bray Wyatt, a la The Undertaker.
You think so?
I think it'll just be Bray Wyatt.
But then how do you explain the Harper and Rowan thing? They just show up one
Maybe
night
they come out, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they come out in different matches. Maybe they come out and ruin other people's matches tonight. Maybe it's just what John and I have talked about is each one of them come out and dominate whoever they're going to be feuding with next, and we see utter domination on all ends of the card. We see that, but I don't think it's going to be all three of them.
That would be kind of cool if you had a...
If it's more than Bray Wyatt in the ring, it's Bray Wyatt and the Ascension. It's Bray Wyatt and other Wyatt family members that are going to be brand new.
Well, then how do you... I like that because we have obviously the reports that the Ascension will be debuting maybe with Wyatt, but then how do you make sense of that? That would be completely random to someone who doesn't follow NXT.
I agree.
When you were like, oh, we'll have Harper and Rowan interfere in the other matches, I would love to see someone like Harper, cost Ziggler or interfere in the IC title match, and maybe we get Ziggler versus Harper for the Intercontinental title, or Rowan interfere in the United States title match, and we get those guys. I mean, that would be perfect. But I truly believe if we see Wyatt in the cell match, it's going to be with Harper and Rowan, just because of the numbers game. We haven't really seen Wyatt take out anybody yet by himself.
I think it's time. I think that's what this "It's Coming" is. The whole promo package has been, I'm setting this guy free to do his thing, I'm setting this guy to go do his thing, and now it's just me. I'm coming. And what he keeps saying at the end of his videos is, she said, boy, you're going to leave a path of destruction and damnation. That's coming. Maybe "it's coming" means damnation and destruction on his part.
Is there any chance that the female he's alluding to is Stephanie McMahon?
Could be. Maybe Stephanie McMahon is Sister Abigail in some way and shape or form in his mind. I don't know.
She's pulling the strings on the Wyatt family. She's responsible for bringing them back. She helps Seth Rollins in the process. I mean, it's a perfect fit.
I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Bray Wyatt with the Authority. That would, again, I don't see that in his character. I don't see
I'm not saying he has to dress all corporate and whatnot. I'm just saying there's a spoken alliance or truce between the two.
Yeah, you're talking Quan Chi and Shang Tsung. I understand you're talking Deadly Alliance, but for me, I think it's gonna be more along the lines of they've taken the time to repackage and reintroduce everybody via these vignettes that have been amazing. People are jonesing and chomping at the bit for Bray Wyatt to return. We need another credible main eventer like him, but we need him to be a character like The Undertaker. We need him to be this larger-than-life character, and he's got to be on a path of destruction or it's not going to work. He has to take out whoever he comes back to eliminate. And for me, I mean, John Alba called a no contest finish in the Randy Orton John Cena match. Maybe the no contest finish is here. Maybe he comes in and takes out both Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, but he stands over Dean Ambrose. I don't know. For me, if Bray Wyatt comes back tonight, he's got to be dominant. He has to take out one of the two, and he has to make it where it's just him.
That might be one of the worst picks we see all year. You can never pick a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match. We saw in the first Hell in a Cell, we saw Kane come out and rip the door off the hinge, and then Tombstone Undertaker. Well, no contest? Well, no, you just have one of them roll over and pin the other guy.
The only one that if somebody would have picked no contest would have been close enough to the actual thing was Mick Foley and The Undertaker, because Mick Foley honestly should never have come back into that match.
Exactly.
The guy fell 16 feet to the floor and got off the stretcher to go back and finish the match, which should have been just called. It should have been just over. It should have been a no contest. But ever since then, we've gotten a finish in every one of these matches, and I agree. John, what were you thinking, John? I have no idea what you were thinking with picking a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match. I just don't get it. But that's the card. Bray Wyatt is supposedly supposed to return tonight and take out Dean Ambrose to set up a Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt feud. Take that with a grain of salt. Take that for what it is. It's just a report. We do know Bray Wyatt has been advertised at the arena to be at the event tonight. We do know that he's supposed to be coming back and feuding with Dean Ambrose, so it would be the perfect opportunity. We've said if he makes his appearance tonight that it has to be during the last match. So they would have to be. If we see John Cena versus Randy Orton first, I guarantee you we're going to see Bray Wyatt appear in that Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose match to close the night out. If the last thing you see at Hell in a Cell is Bray Wyatt standing over Dean Ambrose, money.
I do. As a wrestling fan, I wish they would have saved that for WrestleMania. I think Ambrose versus Wyatt, I mean, that's how you build like the mid card of a WrestleMania, as far as I'm concerned. But
that's a low main event. That's not even a mid card. Like, those two guys are about to be main event guys.
Right. But I mean, compared to some of the other matches that are probably going to be booked, it's not going to be the same light as like Lesnar Reigns, or if Triple H has a match or something. So it's going to help people. If you're a fan of wrestling and if you're looking for any reason to tune into Raw, if they pull the trigger on the Wyatt versus Ambrose feud, that's worth your attention for 3 hours. If you have to stick through that to see those two just go back and forth with their banter, because it's going to be amazing. It's what Jericho versus Wyatt should have been.
Right. And it's going to be crazy. I mean, the promos are going to be insane, and everything's going to be incredible between these guys. I truly think that Ambrose versus Wyatt is the best move they could do for Wyatt's return. It's a great idea for the next step in Ambrose versus somebody. Good move on WWE's part. It's one of those things where I thought, honestly, if we did see Rollins interfere with Orton in the first match, you could see Orton come out and try to interfere in the next one. You possibly could see something like that, but now with Bray Wyatt supposedly returning, I honestly will bank on Bray Wyatt getting in this match, and now I hate my pick. And every single person picked Dean Ambrose to win. If Bray Wyatt doesn't debut tonight and does debut tomorrow night instead, then I'd still say that Dean Ambrose goes over. But
yes,
this is what we got. And Hell in a Cell starts right now. The kickoff show begins on the WWE Network right now. So turn this off. Go check it out. You can follow at WrestleRumors during the show. Chris Waller will be live tweeting tonight. Enjoy that. You can follow Alex at GlassModeALB. You can follow John Alba at John Alba SFC. You can follow me at Doug O'Mac. And, of course, you can follow Chris Walter at Walter Sports. But you need to follow at WrestleRumors tonight. Live tweet with us during the show. And if you can't watch the pay-per-view, then you're probably not watching this. But if you can't watch the pay-per-view, make sure you log on to WrestlingRumors.net. We'll have a live coverage going on. I'll be filling you in on everything that's happening during the show. and you can watch it, or you watch it that way. You can just read what's happening via my report to you. We love you guys. This is why we do this. It's because of you. This has been Wrestling Warm-Up. Of course, we'll be on tomorrow night. I will not be able to be on Wrestling Warm-Up tomorrow night, but these guys will be handling the show, and John Alba will be here as well, and it'll be a good time. So be here 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night before Raw, and we'll catch you then.
Big
Peace.
guy.
Enjoy Hell in a Cell.